What's up, guys? That guy with the pencil here, and let me welcome you to 3 Minute Thursdays, where I sit down and review manga chapters that I've read this week in 3 minutes or less. So let's get to talking about it. First up is My Hero Academia. Let me just give the chapter rating right now, right here. I'd say it's a 7 to an 8 out of 10. I like it mainly for the fact that, one, I like seeing different characters fight in this style other than Midoriya, because I just feel like all their quirks are really, really interesting. I like seeing them work together. I love seeing Gran Torino do anything just because he's so amazing. I like him as a character. And I like the fact that Bakugo's getting chances to shine, like he's showing off a bit. Endeavor's getting a chance to show off a bit. And I like at the end of the chapter, we're getting Mount Lady versus Gigantomachia, even though I feel like we are cutting away from the more pivotal, more important part for no real good reason. I understand, I guess, Shigaraki called Gigantomachia, so he should be arriving on the battlefield soon enough. So, not sure what we're supposed to do here. I'm still aching for a time skip. I will keep aching for a time skip until the series ends, because I want something new, because we're kind of just in a middling spot right now. But I'd still say this was a really good chapter. One of my favorite pieces about it is Shigaraki just destroying the all-for-one inside of him, even though I wish that was more like of a conscious battle rather than just one instant, oh, let me accidentally call Midori your brother, and then I'll take care of everything else and anything else when it comes to fighting everyone here. Kind of lack. I wish, like, we had more influences. I wish Midori would have responded. Like, it would have been cool if it was like a conscious back and forth, like one for all and all for one, both influencing the holders of it at the moment, because it seems like it would be a good balance and be able to tie Shigaraki and Midori together in a better way, because despite them being like the main hero and the main villain, they don't really have much connection, like, at all. Like, they had one interaction at that mall, and I think that's really it. So I really want more interaction between them, because, there are two main characters that we need to be focusing on. But for that, I'd say still an 8 out of 10 chapter, 7 out of 10 chapter. Really, really, really want to see something more with where we're going in the future. I'm not sure how this battle is really going to end, because I think Midori is too weak to fight. I think everyone's too weak to fight Shigaraki right now. And, of course, technically, this entire fight doesn't make sense, because with Aizawa's erasure, how it works is that if you're in his line of sight, your quirk doesn't work. So I don't know how all these people in Aizawa's line of sight's quirks are working, but maybe I missed something. If y'all can explain that in the comment section below, it'd be greatly appreciated, because I'm still confused on that. It doesn't make much sense to me, but that's whatever, I guess. He's getting blocked because Bakugo literally uses a gigantic wall of explosions, yet Aizawa is still able to keep Shigaraki's quirk shut down. I don't know. I really don't know. But whatever. It's My Hero Academia. I love it for the art. I love it for some of the characters. I'm going to keep reading it. Moving on to the next one we have to read, Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone chapter 157. So I really, really like this chapter because it's more of the past. And I love hearing about the time of 3,700 years past, just because it's so interesting. And we're getting more ties into the petrification itself, how it works, the characters that were affected by it. And it brought up something that I was really thinking about a while ago, like, wait, do all these people really have strong personalities that, like, keep their brain functioning? And this chapter addressed that. It showed how Senku posted the old information about how swallows are being petrified all over the world, and how one swallow that they had studied had brain activity. And Dr. Zeno had theorized that this is the only way to keep something alive, because all the other swallows just appear dead, despite all their internal organs and all that being perfectly preserved, just that their minds ceased function, and thus they were in a sleep-like death state. So that's really interesting to address. I feel like that platinum ring that the one guy had that he wanted to give to Luna, I feel like that's going to be super important, because remember how important platinum was in the last arc? I feel like that's how Dr. Zeno revived so many people, because he mentions the nitric acid. He said there should be nitric acid somewhere far down, and I guess he gets revived by that, by the same way that Senku gets revived like that. But it's also talking about how brain function is very important to revival, and it's always really, really interesting to see, like, new information in Dr. Stone. And always, it's nice to have those little details that'll probably mean something later, because that platinum ring is going to be important. I can feel it in the back of my mind, whether it be for mastery. I feel like it's going to be used to make another revival fluid machine, because I feel like that's why it's such a weird detail for them to mention that it was specifically a platinum ring, not a gold ring, not a ruby ring, something so specific. And I feel like that's going to be one of the things that ties Senku and Dr. Zeno together. And of course, it says, like, science is the whole reason that Dr. Zeno and Senku are here. And while in the grand scheme of the narrative, that's right, because both know the importance of corn for their own different reasons, the yellow dent of America, I still think, it's a little bit coincidental. And I like the fact that they're tying the two together, because one, they were tied together in the past, and two, it's two scientists going to battle, but two scientists with fundamentally different philosophies, which is always interesting to see. But really, really a toss-up. Once again, I'd say this is like a 9 to 10 out of 10 chapter, just because it's more background, it's more explanations, it's more subtle stuff, it's more leading hints to the future. All really, really good stuff from Dr. Stone. Honestly, it's what I expect from this point. Like, Dr. Stone, really high standards, because it's a really good series. Moving on to the next one, we actually have a newer manga known as Hard-Boiled Cop and Dolphin. So, Orpheus, Flipper, and Shimenjima, man, I specifically looked at his name. It's only 2 chapters in. I already like it a lot. Like, a lot. I don't know. This manga seems really, really funny, and it's very strange. It's very strange. I'm very much with the main cop character on this one. Samejima, that's his name. They go home Shark, and I'm just gonna probably refer to him as Shark from here on too. And I feel like it's gonna factor into the plot, because this story is just weird. It's very, very strange, and I enjoy it for that. And I know I probably shouldn't enjoy it for that, but for a manga that I kind of just saw, the art style grabbed me, the name grabbed me. I was just like, you know what? Why not? Let me just read it. And so far, I like it a lot. It's very, very strange, because, it's just this cop from Tokyo to this small town, and then, as the title implies, there's a dolphin, but he's a man, and he also has a child, like a human child, for a daughter. It's just very, very strange. I'm not exactly sure what is happening. Not exactly sure if I want to know what is happening. Okay, but I do. I really like the world of this. It's a very simple world. But it's simple enough that, like, you can just pick up reading it. Like, I'd say just go ahead, sit down and read this manga. It's only 2 chapters in. It's good to get started right now. And you'll automatically be intrigued because, of course, like, there's a dolphin man in what seems like regular Japan. No idea what that means, no idea where that's going. There's this little girl who apparently is super smart at detective work, also strong enough to knock out a grown man with a police baton. To be fair, she jumped from like a whole foot above and was completely fine. And it's really Orpheus. Like, Orpheus just grabs my attention so much in this series. Because when I was flipping through it, I'm just like, oh, okay, this is, generic, rough bad boy cop has no idea what to do in this new environment. He gets sent to this small town. And I had read the title, I'm just like, and dolphin, so he's probably gonna have like a dolphin friend. Nah, it's just like an actual dolphin man. Like, this, it's wild. In the latest chapter, chapter 2, there's an octopus man thing that can blow stuff up. I'm very confused, but we're 2 chapters in. I really like the art style, and I think this series has a lot of potential. I want to see where it goes. This one is one to keep an eye on. I feel like I'm really gonna enjoy this one later on. Now, to move on to the next one. Actually, hold on, but wait, real quick. It's gonna sound like a meme. 10 out of 10 for chapter 2 of Hard-Boiled Cop and Dolphin, because it just has me so intrigued. 10 out of 10. Definitely would recommend reading. But, moving on to the next one, we have another new manga, Ayakashi Triangle. Now, it's a manga. I'm not exactly sure how, like, Japan personified. Is that how I put, like, the entire premise of this series is weird, because, like, it's yokai, sort of. Like, they're called Ayakashi, but I believe they're also referred to as yokai. You have the main villain, or I guess not even the main villain. It's a strange series that I can't necessarily explain. It's only 4 chapters in, by the way, but I still am not exactly sure how to explain it properly. But the main character was a guy, while the main character is a girl, whose friend was a guy, who was a ninja that exercises yokai, that's now a girl. Because Japan. And, like, I have no other answer or no other logical reasoning behind that but Japan. So I'm not sure if that makes the main male character a trap now or not. I'm very concerned, and it's wild. Suzu, I remember the main girl's name. Her name's Suzu. Matsukaze? Matsukaze. I believe that's the main guy, now turned girl's name. And, like, the villain that did this to the guy's name, Shirogane, like, the king of all Ayakashi. It's gonna take forever for me to actually learn how to say that. I think that's okay and cool. I like his design. I really like the art style of this manga. Like, the whole reason I didn't instantly drop it after reading the premise and getting very, very confused was because the art style of this is fantastic. I need to go, if this artist has any other works, I want to go read them this, because I really like their art style. I really like Dr. Stone's art style too, so that's why that's just a double combo for me, story and art. But this one's just interesting, and of course we're only 4 chapters in, so the world's already rapidly expanding. Whole new, like, I didn't know anything about the full, like, the world is very, very small scale right now, but obviously as early as the 4th chapter we're expanding onto something new, which is the new yokai hunter that's rolling through, who apparently has yokai under his command or something. Like, very, very strange manga so far, at least. Very, very strange, but I do recommend it. I'd say read it if you're looking for something strange that's gonna keep updating every week. Go read Ayakashi Triangle. It's something, all right. 7 out of 10 chapter. Not much happened. Like, the only big reveal we really had was the new Ayakashi hunter. That's really it. 7 out of 10 chapter. I still like it though. I feel like this has, once again, another manga that I feel like has potential, because these are a lot of early manga. To get on to the next one, a manga that I slept on when I initially saw it, because I remember seeing this manga first come out, and I was just like, I don't really care about it. Maybe if I'll read it, I'll catch up on it later. Undead Unluck. Undead Unluck is, it's on chapter 23, and it's really, really good. Like, shockingly good. Like, I'm actually fully, like, intrigued on this world. Like, this world has me asking so many questions, and to be fair, I'm missing, like, a little chunk of this series. I feel like I missed 2 chapters somewhere. However, like, it's just a really, really solid series. I feel like the art is, it's on that fine line where I think the art is good, but I feel like someone else wouldn't like it. So I'm not exactly sure how to deal with it art-wise, but story-wise, character-wise, character design-wise, I feel like the series is very, very solid, and it has just a really interesting premise, because it has all these different factors. Like, it's hard to explain an entire manga premise in under 3 minutes. Basically, go read it. It's really, really good. The current chapter, if I had to give it, like, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, because one, it establishes the new person that they're after, the union's after, to fill a seat from the Book of Revelation. Yeah, it's very, very complicated, so I can't really explain it. I recommend you go read it, because there are a lot of things I can't answer. Specifically, the contents of this chapter, I say, are really interesting, because it introduces us to the ability of the people who are hunting the other negator, and then it introduces us to the negator, whose ability, I don't think it got a name, but basically, as long as he holds completely still and is looking at something, it also remains completely still. So it's really good for restraining people, except it leaves him basically useless unless he's working with a team. So I can understand why both groups, like the Union and whoever this other group is, would want him. It's really, really interesting. Once again, 23 chapters in, there has been a lot established. We already met the entire, like, the 10 Knights of the Round Table, basically, of the Union, the 2 main characters, and everyone else in it. I'd say it's really, really interesting. I'd recommend it. Like, this is, I feel like, another manga that's gonna, like, shoot up into being really, really good. It just needs a little bit of time right now, because it's still settling itself in the world. We've met every single Union member, but we haven't truly seen them all in action. We don't know all their negating abilities, but I'd say the main character alone, both of them, fantastic enough to recommend this manga to full on go ahead and read it. Yeah, Undead Unluck, definitely 7 to 8 out of 10, solid manga. If I had to move on to the next manga, so I read Bone Collection on a whim, and the art, I'm really, really bad, because I can't really talk much smack, because I'm not the top tier of artist myself, despite being that guy with the pencil. The art is very shifty to me, and I'm not even sure how to describe the art, but the art always makes me double back on wanting to read this series. I get a little bit confused as I read it, and It's 10 chapters in, which is a lot further than Ayakashi Triangle and Hard-Boiled Cop and Dolphin. It's a lot further than a lot of these other worlds, but I'm automatically more interested in those other worlds in comparison to Bone Collection. And it's weird because I feel like this has like a decently developed world, but I'm not exactly sure how well this series is going to maintain itself, how well this series is going to grow. That's my thing. I'm not sure how much of the world we have left to learn. And it's not even like, because in this new chapter we met another one of the 4 great Exorcist Kings, and I don't know, their gimmick is that they say samurai at the end of everything. And the series is a whole lot of gimmick and very little substance to me, at least so far. I've been giving it a chance because it's one of the manga I'm able to catch up on. Like, if I saw it come out, I started reading it early on, and I can keep up with it. I will keep reading it just because it's another thing to read, and I don't mind anything to do in these times, so I will keep reading it. Do I think it's as good as any of the other manga I read? No. Like, chapter was a 5 out of 10 at best, if I'm being completely real. Like, it set up something. Like, we have a new threat, which is the QB, and, you know, being a Naruto fan myself, whenever I hear QB, my hopes get up. And we have, obviously, the character who's supposed to be the QB, who escaped from the island, yada yada yada, or it's the QB's kid, I don't know. Hey, this series makes me want to ask questions, but it's not questions I necessarily care about. I'm not invested in any of the characters. I honestly can't tell you any of the characters' names, even though I've read 10 chapters of it week after week after week. Now, if that tells you anything about how I feel about the story, there you go. I mean, go ahead and read it if you want. If you want something to read, go ahead and read Bone Collection. But if you want to, like, actually divvy up your time and you want to have a better series, there are other things out there. You don't have to read Bone Collection. There's my view on that 5 out of 10 chapter. Let's move on to another one that's actually going to get higher ratings for me. Time Paradox Ghost Rider. So this story is, once again, something that captured me solely from the art itself and the fact that I caught it when it was young. Like, I saw the first chapter and was like, you know what, this art looks interesting enough, let me read it. And then I ended up reading it, and then the story just, it's wild. It's a manga artist who had no talent of his own, no ability of his own, who ended up having his fridge / robot / microwave struck by lightning, all of it melted together, and the top selling manga for Shonen Jump came in 10 years from the future, and bam, popped into his microwave. He wrote an entire series about it, finally got himself published, and it was all going great until he realized that this wasn't his work, and that he didn't just hallucinate it. It was actually, he just plagiarized. And I was just like, okay. You're losing me. You're losing me fast, because I'm just like, Time Paradox Ghost Rider wasn't me, but now the story's actually picking up. It's picking up very interestingly, because we met the person who actually wrote the hit manga that didn't plagiarize it, Utsuki Aino, and she's part of his team now. Man, why am I forgetting your name? She's part of his team now, and as a byproduct of that, he is technically stealing her work, but she hasn't written it yet. So it's very, very strange. But the thing is, spoilers. It's 8 chapters in, so I really shouldn't have to say spoilers. But the issue is, Aino is gonna die. That's the whole main conflict, and the only way for Aino not to die is for the main character, whose name I'm forgetting. Why am I forgetting her name? Hold on. I'm going to cheat and look at it right now, because I actually really, really like this manga. Teppei Sasaki. Sasaki, that's his name. He needs to keep running White Knight. He has to beat Aino to prevent her death. And that's interesting. Now we're getting really into the Time Paradox Ghost Rider stuff, because now I'm interested, because the manga has stopped coming out because she's dead in the future. So now Sasaki, the person who never had a creative bone in his body, who never really drew or wrote or created for anything but himself, and no one else saw the potential, and he's going to be forced to not only beat this creative talent that is Tsuki Aino at her own game, literally having to go from plagiarizing to creating her manga from scratch, but he has to beat her and keep beating her to avoid her death. And that's super interesting. I'd give this chapter, despite it being literally just kind of an exposition dump for the most part, and literally it took place in one room. Like, there's very little happened in this chapter, but I'd say a lot happening in this series. Definitely recommend reading it. I give the chapter like 8 to 9 out of 10 because it's just really, really solid. It's a lot of exposition, but it's well handled, and you're just as shocked as he is as everything gets explained. Moving on. If I had to talk about the next manga, Mori King. And Mori King is something, like, once again, it's a manga I read on a whim, and because it was fresh, and I saw it there, and I don't regret reading it, but I'm wondering what I'm reading every single time I click on that page on the Shonen Jump website. I'm just like, yeah, this is what I'm here for. This is what I came here for, huh? Why am I still reading? Why do I find this hilarious? It's a manga about a rhinoceros beetle that has a human form that wants to become king of the world, and he's raised by a boy and his older sister, and there are candidates. It's also like, I can't explain it. Go read it. I can't explain it in under 3 minutes and get to what I want to talk about. If I had to talk about the contents of this chapter specifically, the thing that I like about the most is that you have the two like upward kings. You have the Emperor Butterfly, whose name I forget because I need to actually focus on reading manga more so I can remember their names. And then Mori King, you have Shoko as a pet, and then I'm gonna cheat again because I actually really like the butterfly, the Purple Emperor Butterfly. You have these two competing in the pet show, and the thing that comes across is that, of course, these are like two grown men. Oki Samura and Mori King are competing in a pet competition, and it's a underlying message to show which one is like the superior servant king to their people, like the king who provides rather than the king who takes, because Samura, he was focused on just winning the competition because they were 0-0. They had figured nothing out. No one was in the lead, but then a child was in danger. And the first person who reacted was Mori King. He was the one who went to protect his kingdom first. And Samura just respects that. He's just like, you won this competition, but I'll beat you next time. Because it's just a nice chapter to show the difference between the two of them. Like, how they value competition versus life, and how they see each other in the world around them. For a butterfly and a rhinoceros beetle, surprisingly complex. And I like how, once again, it's just a very, very interesting and funny manga. Like, it's a good joke read. I'd recommend it. Definitely go ahead and read it. Go catch up on it. Catch up on it quick because I feel like it just hit the chapter split limit on no, it hit the chapter split limit a while back. Find Mori King somehow, somewhere. It's a really, really good read. Definitely recommend it. Chapter, really, I'd say, wow, 9 out of 10 because he's really, really good. It's rather respectable. I give it a whole lot of credit. Now, the final manga I have to talk about for today, at least I do believe the final manga I have to talk about for today, is going to be the latest manga that came out. Me and Roboco. It's weird. It made an Apple reference, and that's about all I have, and I'm not sure if I want to keep reading it because it's very, very disturbing. Like, not even... Like, Mori King is disturbing at times in a funny way. This manga is kind of just, like, actually disturbing. I'm rather concerned about this child and this strange, muscly robot maid, and how she's shady and probably actually a person trapped in a robot body. And you ever feel uncomfortable reading manga or reading something? Like, I felt uncomfortable reading through this. Like, I could tell it was trying to be funny. And I did chuckle at the Nappa thing, the Nappa knees. But other than that, like, the manga was just a little bit like make you uncomfortable, and I don't really like that. I can't. It's probably just not my sense of humor at all, and it's bad because I know I should like if this is the pilot chapter, I should like have more hope and faith in it, but I have like no hope and faith in it. I don't think this is a manga that's very, very young. Like I said, first chapter, and I know it's not my style at all. If you want creepy robot stuff, that's probably not actually a robot with a buff made person, go ahead and read it. If you don't mind the art style, go ahead and read it. Me, I'd hate to drop a manga on its first chance. I think I may give it, like, you know how people have the 3-episode try. I think I may give it the 3-chapter try. If it doesn't do something to grab my attention, and like oh, I have to keep reading this and keep following this way, it's getting dropped. It's getting dropped, and ooh, sad thing is something similar happened. But I think there's another manga that recently came out, Ayakashi Triangle of Destruction. Another manga that may just get dropped. I probably should have read it. I didn't. I don't know. I didn't like the first chapter at all. So, to new, like really relatively new manga that I just did not enjoy in the slightest. So there's that. What do I rate that chapter? 1 out of 10. It existed. I don't mean to like discourage anyone from reading it. Go ahead and read it if you want. That's my view on it. Just to top it off to end this up, if I had to rank every single manga I read, Dr. Stone, easy number 1. Undead Unluck, I actually have to give that the number 2. Then I'd give Hardboiled Cop and Dolphin number 3. My Hero Academia number 4. I actually think, Time Paradox Ghostwriter. Actually, I think I may slide that. Yeah, that's number 4. I put Time Paradox Ghostwriter above My Hero Academia. Then I give it My Hero Academia. Then I give it Mori King. Then I would probably slide to Bone Collection. And then finally end off with Me and Robico. Oh, and Ayakashi Triangle above Me and Robico. So there's my views. Thank you for listening to this first 3-minute Thursdays where I just talk about manga. If a manga gets dropped, this will be shorter. If a manga gets added, this will be longer. So, as you can see, 3 minutes is still a rather long time. I can still talk for a lot, but thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Every single thing helps in every single way it can. And thank you guys so much for watching one last time. And this is that guy with the pencil writing off.